Sarcopenia, the age loss of muscle mass and strength, is one of the most underestimated threats to our health and independence as we grow older. Most people don't notice it creeping in. It's subtle at first, a little less power getting out of a chair, a little more fatigue climbing stairs. But over time, this subtle erosion compounds, eventually leading to frailty, reduced mobility, and increased risk of falls and metabolic disease. The remarkable thing, though, is that science now shows we can counteract it quickly and effectively with the right nutrient and strategy. This is not speculation. This is grounded in decades of peer-reviewed research, and the one nutrient at the heart of this transformation is leucine. Leucine is one of the essential amino acids, which means your body cannot produce it on its own. You must get it from food. But what makes leucine unique is its direct role in stimulating muscle protein synthesis. When you consume leucine, it activates a specific molecular pathway in your body known as mTOR, the master regulator of muscle building. Think of leucine as the key that turns the ignition on your body's engine for growth and repair. Without enough of it, no matter how much you eat or how often you move, your muscle tissue simply won't get the signal to grow. This becomes especially important as we age. After about age 30, our ability to maintain and build muscle naturally begins to decline. This decline accelerates with each passing decade, not necessarily because we're eating less protein or moving less, though that often happens, but because the body's responsiveness to these signals diminishes. The threshold for muscle growth gets higher. We need more of the stimulus, more resistance training, and more leucine to achieve the same effect we used to get effortlessly in our youth. The good news is once we understand this, we can act. The research is clear. Consuming 2 to 3 grams of leucine per meal, ideally 3 times per day, significantly improves muscle protein synthesis in older adults. That amount of leucine is typically found in 30 grams of high-quality proteins, such as whey protein isolate, chicken breast, lean beef, fish, eggs, or plant-based options like lentils and tofu, though you'll need more volume with plant sources to reach the same leucine threshold. Whey protein is especially effective because it's rapidly digested and rich in leucine. But even leucine alone isn't enough. Your muscles also need a signal from the environment to grow, and that signal is resistance training. When you combine leucine intake with resistance exercise, you create a biological environment where muscle growth becomes possible, rapidly, reliably, and safely. Studies on adults in their 60S, 70S, and even 80S show that combining strength training with leucine-rich meals leads to measurable improvements in muscle mass and strength in just a few weeks. This isn't just a theory. It's happening in research labs and clinics all over the world. And timing matters. One of the most powerful interventions you can make is to consume a leucine-rich meal within 30 minutes after a workout. This period, often called the anabolic window, is when your muscles are most primed to absorb amino acids and begin the repair and growth process. Missing this window doesn't mean you won't build muscle, but you'll miss the opportunity to maximize growth when your body is most receptive. By taking control of your nutrition and movement, by leveraging this one powerful nutrient, you can halt and even reverse the muscle loss that was once considered inevitable. This is not about building bodybuilder physiques or chasing vanity. It's about maintaining your strength, your independence, your energy, and your quality of life well into your later years. Muscle is not just tissue. It is a protective, metabolic, and even cognitive asset, and leucine is the tool to keep it thriving. Most people associate aging with wrinkled skin, gray hair, and slower movement, but far more critical is what happens inside the body, particularly to our muscle tissue. Sarcopenia, the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength, is a silent force that often begins as early as our 30s and gains speed with every passing decade. It's not just about looking or feeling older. Muscle loss affects our metabolic health, immune system, brain function, and even how long we live. The decline in muscle isn't just natural, it's dangerous if left unchecked, but recent breakthroughs in muscle biology and nutritional science have identified a powerful solution: leucine. This one amino acid has emerged as a scientifically validated nutrient capable of slowing, stopping, and in many cases reversing the progression of sarcopenia. The key lies not just in consuming more protein in general, but in deliberately increasing the amount of leucine-rich foods or supplements we consume, especially in combination with resistance-based movement. Leucine is one of the 9 essential amino acids, meaning it must come from dietary sources because the body cannot synthesize it. Its role in muscle health is unique. It acts as a metabolic switch for muscle protein synthesis, In simple terms, leucine doesn't just provide the building blocks for muscle tissue, it also triggers the construction process. This makes it more than just a nutrient. It's a signal that tells your muscles to grow and repair. When you eat a meal rich in leucine, it activates the mTOR pathway, a cellular signaling mechanism that stimulates muscle cells to begin rebuilding. This is why studies consistently show that meals containing at least 2 to 3 grams of leucine have a much greater anabolic muscle building effect than those that fall short of this threshold. This is especially crucial for people over 50, as aging muscles become resistant to growth signals, a phenomenon known as anabolic resistance. To overcome this, higher doses of leucine per meal become essential. Fortunately, nature has given us several food sources rich in leucine. The highest concentrations are found in animal proteins like whey, beef, poultry, fish, and eggs. Among these, whey protein isolate stands out. It's rapidly absorbed, easy to digest, and contains more leucine per gram than nearly any other protein source. In fact, just 1 scoop of quality whey protein provides nearly 2.5 grams of leucine, making it a highly efficient tool for triggering muscle synthesis after a workout or between meals. For those following plant-based diets, leucine is still obtainable, but often in lower concentrations, which means larger servings or combining multiple plant protein sources is necessary to meet the anabolic threshold. However, nutrition alone isn't enough. Muscle responds best when it's challenged. Resistance training, using weights, bands, or even your own body weight creates the stimulus that sensitizes muscle cells to the effects of leucine. Think of it this way. Training opens the door, and leucine walks in with the tools to do the rebuilding. Together, they form a synergistic duo. The science shows that resistance training just 3 to 4 times per week, even for 20-30 minutes, can dramatically enhance muscle protein synthesis when combined with adequate leucine intake. Timing also plays a role. Research strongly suggests that consuming leucine-rich protein within 30 minutes of exercise can amplify muscle repair and growth. What's truly empowering is this: muscle loss is not inevitable. It is not the price of aging, but the consequence of neglecting what muscle tissue needs to thrive. By focusing on resistance training and leucine-rich nutrition, people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond can regain strength, stability, and metabolic health. In many studies, even older adults with no training background have experienced significant muscle gains within a matter of weeks. The combination of stimulus and nutrition, especially centered on leucine, is a scientifically proven formula that works faster and more effectively than previously thought. This knowledge isn't just for athletes or bodybuilders. It's a tool for anyone who wants to age with vitality, protect their mobility, and improve their quality of life. Muscle is often seen as something only athletes or bodybuilders need to worry about, but that couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, muscle is essential for every aspect of healthy aging. It supports our bones, balances blood sugar, maintains posture, and prevents injuries. But as we age, a process called sarcopenia begins to erode our muscle mass and strength. This gradual weakening doesn't happen overnight. It often starts subtly in our 30s or 40s and then speeds up after 50. If left unaddressed, it leads to frailty, loss of independence, and higher risk of falls and fractures. But here's the encouraging news. Sarcopenia isn't irreversible. In fact, it can be significantly slowed or even reversed with the right approach. And one of the most powerful science-backed ways to do that involves a single nutrient, leucine. Leucine is an essential amino acid, which means your body can't make it on its own. It must come from what you eat. While all amino acids help build protein, leucine does something special. It acts as a trigger. Specifically, it activates a molecular pathway in your cells called mTOR, which stands for mechanistic target of rapamycin. This pathway is like a switch that tells your muscles to start building and repairing tissue. Without enough leucine, this switch stays off and your body remains in a state of muscle breakdown or stagnation. This is especially important for older adults, whose bodies become less sensitive to these growth signals. The muscle cells still work, but they need a louder signal. Leucine is that signal, and research shows that it must reach a certain threshold to be effective. Studies consistently show that around 2.5 grams of leucine per meal is the minimum required to effectively stimulate muscle protein synthesis in aging individuals. That amount of leucine can be found in about 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein. Animal-based foods like eggs, chicken, turkey, beef, and fish are rich in leucine. But one of the most concentrated sources is whey protein, which is why it's so often recommended for recovery shakes and older adults looking to preserve muscle. Even a single scoop of whey protein isolate can deliver the full 2.5 grams needed to spark muscle growth. For people on plant-based diets, leucine is available in lentils, soy, tofu, quinoa, and other legumes, but in lower concentrations. That means vegetarians and vegans need to be more intentional, either by combining plant proteins to meet the threshold or using fortified plant-based protein powders. Timing also matters. The most effective window to consume leucine-rich protein is within 30 minutes post-workout, when the body's cells are most responsive to growth signals. While leucine is a powerful nutrient, it works best in partnership with the right stimulus: resistance training. Lifting weights, using resistance bands, or doing bodyweight exercises sends a clear message to your muscles: adapt, grow, strengthen. This mechanical stimulus increases the sensitivity of your muscle cells to leucine, amplifying its effects. Without this resistance, your muscles don't get the same activation. But when you pair resistance training with leucine-rich meals, especially after exercise, the impact is exponential. Even brief but consistent training sessions, just 20 to 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week, can spark significant gains in muscle mass, even in seniors who've never trained before. This isn't about building massive muscles, it's about building functional strength and resilience, what keeps you steady on your feet, able to carry groceries, climb stairs, or lift a grandchild without pain. The most empowering part of all this is that it doesn't require massive changes, just intentional ones. You don't have to live in the gym or overhaul your entire diet. What's required is consistency in doing resistance exercises and hitting your leucine target at each meal. Over time, this practice can profoundly change the trajectory of aging. You're not just maintaining muscle, you're protecting your independence, improving your metabolic health, and building a body that supports you through the decades. Muscle is more than strength, it's your foundation, and leucine is the key to keeping that foundation strong. Aging is often associated with decline, slower movement, less energy, and increased frailty. But science now shows that much of this decline is not due to aging itself, but to the gradual loss of muscle mass and function, a condition known as sarcopenia. Sarcopenia doesn't happen suddenly. It begins in your 30s, often unnoticed, and accelerates after the age of 50. Most people aren't even aware that they are losing muscle until daily tasks become harder. This decline isn't just about weakness. It affects metabolic health, mobility, bone density, and even brain function. Fortunately, we now have clear research-backed tools to counteract it. Central among them is a powerful nutrient called leucine. Leucine is a specific amino acid that has been shown to effectively activate muscle protein synthesis, the very process responsible for building and repairing muscle tissue. What makes leucine stand out among the other amino acids is its ability to stimulate the mTOR pathway, a key regulator of muscle growth. Think of mTOR as the green light that tells your body it's time to build. When mTOR is activated, especially through leucine, it triggers a cascade of responses that lead to muscle repair, strength gain, and cellular regeneration. But as we age, our ability to activate this pathway becomes less efficient. This condition, known as anabolic resistance, means the body doesn't respond to protein intake as powerfully as it did in youth. This is why older adults need more leucine per meal than younger individuals to get the same muscle building effect. While 1.5 grams might be enough for a younger person, older adults often require 2.5 to 3 grams per meal to optimally stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Reaching this leucine threshold doesn't require expensive supplements, it just requires intentional eating. Animal-based protein sources tend to be the richest in leucine. For example, 3 eggs contain about 1.3 grams of leucine. A 6-ounce chicken breast can deliver close to 3 grams. Whey protein, often used by athletes, is particularly potent. Just 1 scoop typically provides the full dose needed to trigger the mTOR pathway. For vegetarians or vegans, it's still very possible to reach these levels, but it takes more careful planning. Foods like lentils, quinoa, soy, and tempeh contain leucine, but usually in smaller amounts, meaning higher volumes or combinations of foods are necessary. Alternatively, plant-based protein powders that are fortified with extra leucine can be an effective option. However, nutrition alone, no matter how perfect, won't stop sarcopenia unless it's paired with resistance training. Muscle tissue requires mechanical stress in order to grow. Resistance training provides this stress. It sends a powerful signal to the body that muscle is needed. This signal sensitizes muscle cells to the effects of leucine and primes them to grow. Even light resistance, such as bodyweight squats, wall push-ups, or resistance band exercises, done consistently can make a dramatic difference, especially when combined with a leucine-rich diet. Studies show that older adults who engage in resistance training just 3 times per week, along with consuming sufficient protein and leucine, can build muscle at nearly the same rate as younger individuals. What's especially exciting is that this process doesn't take long to show results. Within just a few weeks of training and targeted nutrition, improvements in strength, energy, and physical ability become noticeable. These changes translate into real-world benefits: walking longer distances, lifting heavier groceries, getting out of a chair without struggling, and maintaining balance to avoid falls. Muscle is not just for athletes. It is a critical organ system tied to your overall vitality and lifespan. By consistently supporting it with the right stimulus and nutrients, most importantly leucine, you can take control of your aging process. You can build strength instead of losing it. You can age with power, not fragility. Aging is often painted as a process of unavoidable decline, but modern science tells a very different story, especially when it comes to muscle. What we once believed to be the inevitable result of growing older, we now understand to be largely preventable. The loss of strength, balance, and energy we see with age is frequently the result of sarcopenia, a condition marked by the gradual loss of skeletal muscle mass. This process begins quietly, typically in your 30s, and becomes more aggressive after 50. Many people lose as much as 1% of their muscle mass per year past midlife, and if not addressed, that can mean a 30–40% loss by the time they reach their 70s. But what if we could slow or even reverse that? The good news is we can, and it doesn't take extreme changes. It starts with understanding the power of one nutrient, leucine. Leucine is an essential amino acid, meaning our bodies can't produce it, we have to get it from food, but leucine does more than just contribute to protein formation. It plays a key signaling role in the body. Specifically, leucine activates the mTOR pathway, which is the body's primary regulator of muscle protein synthesis, the process of building and repairing muscle tissue. Without sufficient leucine, this process slows down dramatically, especially as we age. The body becomes less efficient at using protein to build muscle, a condition known as anabolic resistance. That's why simply eating more protein isn't always enough for older adults. What matters is consuming the right kind of protein, rich in leucine, and doing it consistently at each meal. To reach the optimal muscle building threshold, research shows that each meal should contain around 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine. That generally means eating 25–35 grams of high quality protein per meal. Foods rich in leucine include eggs, beef, poultry, fish, and dairy, especially whey protein, which contains the highest amount of leucine per gram. Just one scoop of whey isolate often provides all the leucine needed to stimulate muscle growth. For those on plant-based diets, reaching that threshold is still possible, but takes more planning. Foods like soy, lentils, and quinoa contain leucine, but often require larger portions or combinations to meet the same effect. Fortified plant-based protein powders can help close that gap. But even with ideal leucine intake, one piece of the puzzle remains: movement. More specifically, resistance-based movement. Resistance training, whether through weights, resistance bands, machines, or even body weight, is essential because it increases the muscle's sensitivity to leucine. When you contract your muscles under load, you activate cellular signals that tell your body muscle tissue is needed. Combined with leucine-rich meals, the result is a powerful synergy. The muscle is not only receiving the fuel and raw materials, it's receiving the command to grow. Studies consistently show that older adults who perform resistance training 2 to 4 times per week, even for as little as 20–30 minutes per session, can increase muscle mass and strength in just a few weeks. Timing also plays a crucial role. Consuming leucine-rich protein within 30 to 60 minutes after resistance exercise amplifies the anabolic response. This window is when the muscles are primed to absorb amino acids and begin the repair and growth process. Doesn't mean that protein outside of this window is useless. It's still valuable, but consuming it after exercise maximizes the benefits. Over time, this practice not only halts sarcopenia, but can reverse it. Improvements in balance, coordination, and daily functional strength begin to show up, improving quality of life dramatically. Muscle is far more than tissue. It is protective, metabolic, and neurological. It supports your bones, powers your metabolism, controls blood sugar, and even plays a role in mental sharpness. As such, maintaining muscle isn't about fitness, it's about independence. By focusing on leucine intake, pairing it with strategic resistance exercise, and staying consistent, anyone at any age can build back strength. This isn't about quick fixes or youth recaptured. It's about aging with intention, using science to support a body that carries you confidently into your later years.